jet skis, wave runners, and sea-doos, whatever you call them, personal watercraft are a lot of fun. Over 89,000 PWCs are registered here, and those numbers grow each year. PWCs are used across Florida for everything from recreational riding to water skiing and even fishing. But more boat traffic means more opportunities for accidents. While PWCs only account for 10% of Florida's registered vessels, they're involved in more than 28% of our reported accidents each year. One reason the accident numbers are so high is because of the higher than normal operation time per vessel when compared to other types of boats. Also, a lot of these boats are rented or borrowed and used by inexperienced and untrained operators. Novice riders sometimes think of a PWC as a toy instead of a motorboat and quickly feel comfortable operating it. This can lead to carelessness, such as not paying close attention to what's going on around them, or operating too fast or too close to other objects or boats.
Collisions are the most common type of PWC accidents. Most occur while the PWC operator is either cruising or changing directions. Many times these accidents happen when two or more PWCs are riding too close to each other and operators don't keep track of each other. A quick turn by one operator who hasn't checked to see where the other riders are often result in sudden and tragic collisions.
To operate a PWC safely, it's important to understand how it works. The personal watercraft depends on the thrust of water being pumped through a steerable nozzle at the rear of the craft. Moving the handlebars redirects the water coming out of the nozzle, causing the PWC to turn, but only if the throttle is not released. Releasing the throttle causes the flow of water through the nozzle to stop, and when that happens, steering will probably be lost, or at least significantly reduced. Since steering a PWC can be confusing in tight quarters or under pressure, it's best to always slow to idle speed whenever you come near a person, the shoreline, or any other object. The PWC industry has been working over the past several years to provide a solution to what is known as the off-throttle steering problem. Some models have either drop-down steering fins or an electronic throttle advance to provide a small amount of steering should an operator mistakenly release the throttle while trying to make a hard turn. But even with these improvements, the only sure solution is to remember that the throttle must be used to initiate a turn. Many accidents occur when a PWC is traveling too close behind another vessel. If the first operator makes an abrupt turn and the second operator releases the throttle to slow down while attempting to turn, the second craft is often carried straight ahead into the other PWC. These accidents are not a pretty sight. There's not much structure around a PWC rider for protection, and collisions often result in severe injuries. Broken bones, severe cuts, and even head and back injuries are common in PWC accidents. And nearly all of these can be avoided. Remember, keep your distance from other PWCs and avoid making any sharp or sudden maneuvers. Most of all, stay alert to all other vessels around you and be sure to look before turning. There are no brakes on a PWC. Collisions aren't the only type of PWC accidents. Many PWC riders are injured when they fall against or off of their PWC. Most of these happen when operators jump waves, boat wakes, or when a sharp turn throws a second rider from the craft. Accidents from this type of operation often lead to head and back injuries, and they can cause severe internal injuries to the operator or passenger. In many circumstances, wave jumping is even against the law. The offense of reckless operation includes maneuvers which unreasonably or unnecessarily endanger life, limb, or property, and jumping the wake of another vessel unreasonably or unnecessarily close to such other vessel, or when visibility around a vessel is obstructed. Florida's reckless operation law also prohibits weaving in and out of congested vessel traffic and swerving at the last possible moment to avoid a collision, as if playing chicken or trying to spray water on another person or vessel. Once again, these may seem like cool things to do, but these maneuvers are neither safe, smart, nor legal. Florida has other safety requirements for PWC riders. Anyone riding on or being towed behind a PWC must be wearing a U.S. Coast Guard approved non-inflatable life jacket. A PWC must also have a U.S. Coast Guard approved fire extinguisher and a sound producing device such as a referee's whistle. The operator must also use an engine cutoff switch lanyard. When not in use, the lanyard should be removed so unwanted riders can't start the PWC. PWCs may never be operated between a half hour past sunset and a half hour before sunrise. No person under the age of 14 years old may operate a PWC in Florida. It's also against the law for anyone having charge over or control of a PWC to knowingly allow it to be operated by a person under the age of 14. Anyone 21 years of age or younger who operates a PWC in Florida must take and pass an approved boating safety course, either in a classroom or through Florida's home study course. After passing the course, the young boater will receive a Florida Boater ID card from the FWC. This card and some form of photo ID is required to be carried on board the boat by the operator. It's valid throughout the person's lifetime. Temporary certificates are available from vendors and rental operators across the state and require an exam. These cards are good for 1 year. Anyone operating a rental PWC must have received proper instruction on the safe handling of personal watercraft and must provide the rental company with a written statement that they have received the appropriate training before being allowed to ride. If you tow someone on skis, an inner tube, knee board, or something similar, you must have another person on board to act as an observer, or you must have and use a wide-angled rear-view mirror. The small mirrors on PWCs don't usually meet this requirement. If you encounter a diver's down flag, you must stay at least 300 feet away from the flag in open water, or at least 100 feet away in a river, inlet, or channel. If you cannot avoid coming within these distances from a diver's down flag, you must slow to idle speed. Even outside these distances, keep a sharp lookout for divers in the vicinity of a dive flag. PWC operators need to be aware that the regulatory signs on the waterways apply to them too. Idle speed, no wake, means the slowest speed your craft will operate and still be steered. Slow speed, minimum wake, means that your craft is fully settled in the water and not at all on plane. There are other signs that limit all vessels to a certain speed. Look for the signs around manatee areas and places where people swim. Obey them. When you buy a PWC, the dealer will normally help apply for the registration paperwork. The PWC will be assigned registration numbers that must be placed on the forward half of each side of the PWC above the waterline. The letters and numbers must read left to right, be in bold block letters at least 3 inches high, in a color that contrasts with the hull, and must have spaces or dashes between the letters and numbers. Your local tag office will issue a registration decal to be placed on the port or left side of the PWC within 6 inches of and either before or after the registration numbers. In addition to these Florida requirements, PWCs are required to abide by the federal navigation rules. These rules include the following requirements. When passing another boat from behind, you must leave plenty of room and not make any erratic maneuvers. The vessel being passed must do the same. When passing a vessel coming at you from head-on, you should pass port to port. That's your left side to theirs. Again, avoid any erratic maneuvers. In a situation where your path and another boat's path will cross, you must give way to the other boat if he is on your right. The other boater may not know or follow the rules, so always be ready to slow down and take any action necessary to avoid a collision. You are also required to maintain a proper lookout and know what is going on around you. Remember, PWCs are boats and must abide by the basic rules of safe boating. In addition to safe boating laws, there are some other common sense things that PWC operators need to know. Since PWCs are relatively small, they are difficult for other boaters to see. In fact, it's harder for PWC operators to see all that's going on around them because they ride so close to the water. Pay attention and remember to be polite. Modern personal watercraft are relatively quiet, but long hours of PWC operation in a small area can be quite irritating to other boaters and to people on shore. To keep peace with other people and perhaps avoid more restrictions on PWCs, it's a good idea to avoid operating in one area for long periods of time. Most PWC riding should be done away from residential areas, other boaters, nesting birds, and other wildlife. A little courtesy for others and use of good common sense will go a long way toward reducing complaints against PWC operators. In addition to noise concerns, PWC operators also need to keep in mind other environmental concerns. Fuel and oil leaks not only create a dangerous situation for the people around a PWC, but they also pollute our fragile ecosystem. Many of the newer PWCs use environmentally friendly technology to substantially reduce exhaust pollutants and engine noise. But even keeping older engines tuned and in good working order will go a long way toward reducing pollution. PWCs can damage delicate seagrasses by operating in water that's too shallow. Avoid these areas. This will also help keep debris out of your PWC's water intake. And don't harass birds or other wildlife by riding too close or chasing them, especially manatees and nesting shorebirds. Remember, these animals are protected by both state and federal law, and harassment can carry pretty stiff penalties. Florida law covers several personal safety concerns, but there are other things PWC riders can do to keep themselves safe and comfortable while riding. Eye protection is vitally important to shield your eyes from spray and wind. Foot protection, like soft-soled shoes or water socks, will make boarding easier and protect your feet. Riders should also wear a wetsuit bottom or heavy shorts to protect them from water ingestion injuries. Once a personal watercraft operator has the necessary protective gear and is thoroughly familiar with PWC laws and the waterway, everything is in order for a good time. Unless alcoholic beverages or other drugs are involved.
Although a PWC may seem fairly simple to operate, there's a lot of skill involved to keep from having a mishap. Balance, coordination, decision-making, quick reactions, and using good judgment are all important to avoid trouble on the water. Yet these are exactly the bodily functions that drugs and alcohol affect. Florida's laws concerning boating under the influence are among the toughest in the nation. So the best decision is to boat smart while leaving them alone while you're around the water.
All PWC operators need to be educated in safe operation.
Personal watercraft riders should take their time to review the safety information they received from the dealers and this video with each personal watercraft rider. They should also review the manufacturer's information labels found on their personal watercraft. These instructions are there to keep personal watercraft riders and others safe while out on the water.
Courtesy, common sense, knowing the laws and rules, keeping a safe distance and avoiding sudden maneuvers. Practice these and you'll be off to a great time on Florida's waters. And take a boating safety course. No matter how long you've been boating, you'll be surprised how much you learn. And you'll probably meet new people who share your love of boating.